Hello, my name is Steven, and I'm going to do the Basic Algebra video. We're going to start off with addition and subtraction of signed numbers. Addition and subtraction of signed numbers. First question you might have is, what is a signed number? Well, it's a number that has a sign in front of it. A positive number, there are some negative numbers, there's even a number that has no sign. Number 0. It's neutral. This is a positive number, which is the same as just 5. And this is a negative number. A negative number must have the sign in front of it. The number 7 is understood to be positive 7. So if I give you 7 and I say, is that a positive number or a negative number? You should say, oh, it's a positive number. I see that imaginary positive sign there. On a number line, 0 is in the middle. Negative numbers are to the left. Positive numbers are to the right. 1, 2, 2 3/4, the square root of 7, the number 3 eventually, the square root of 21, 3.731. Okay, if there are numbers other than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And go into the store. Not everything is $1 or $2 or $3. And even if it were, once they get our sales tax, things would not be $1 or $2 or $3. To the left is 0. You have the negative numbers. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 2.31, negative the square root of 11, negative 4 3/4, etc. Every number is on the number line. The number line does not just have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It has every number. Are you going to list every number? Of course not. A, it would take forever. B, just look at the space between 0 and 1. You don't have enough space to put even all the numbers between 0 and 1. I mean, between 0 and 1, you have 0.1 and 0.2 and 0.3 and 0.4 and eventually 0.99 and 0.104 and then 10,328. There's an infinite number of numbers between 0 and 1. And I also, in the way I'm listing, where I listed those numbers, that's not even all of them. We didn't include the rational numbers. We didn't include the square root of 0.001. We didn't include pi divided by 4. So this list is infinite. And there's an infinite number of numbers I didn't include, like pi over 4, and pi over 5, and pi over 6, and pi over 7, etc. Isn't all? Now, how can you possibly, in this little area, list all the numbers I just mentioned? So that is why people tend to just list 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's understood that and every other number is also on that number line. It's just not highlighted. On a number line, if you have two numbers, and I don't care if they're both negative numbers, if they're both positive numbers, if one is negative, one is positive, one is 0, anytime you have two numbers on the number line, the one to the left, namely A, is smaller than B. A is less than B. Anytime you have a number to the left of another number, A is to the left of B. A is less than B. B is to the right of A. So B is greater than A. After all, there's only one reason that A is less than B, and that's because B is greater than A. There's only one reason A is smaller than B. It's because B is bigger than A. If I'm shorter than you, it's because you're taller than me. Okay, so for an example, here is 0, and then -1, and -2, and -3, and eventually -8, and eventually -9. -9 is to the left between these two numbers. -9 is to the left. So -9 is smaller than -8. Numbers to the left are smaller than numbers to the right. Doesn't matter if they're both negative or positive or one of each. If you're to the left, you're smaller. Okay. Now, we are going to learn how to add and subtract sign numbers. First, I'm just going to tell you a convention. Whenever you have two symbols next to one another, they should always be separated by parentheses. Let me just lower than -3. It looks like it's higher than it should be. Whenever you have two symbols next to one another, like the addition symbol and the negative sign, just put brackets around. Now, the way I teach this is differently than anyone else. You always read the first number and the sign correctly. But the next number, don't read the sign. That is, I want you to read that as 8 plus 3. And the question is this 8 plus 3? The answer is no. This is not 3. If I ask you to write down 3, I bet my life on it you would write that down. You would not write this down. Possibly you'd write +3, but you wouldn't write -3. This here is 8 plus 3? No, it's not 8 plus 3. Oh, it must be 8 minus 3, which is 5. (11 minus -31). Two symbols next to one another, isolated. Is this 11 minus 31? The answer is no. This number is not 31. It's -31. It's not 31. It's not 31. Oh, so it's not 11 minus 31, so it must be 11 plus 31. It isn't going to be 11 minus 90. It's not going to become 11 plus 38. It's not going to be 15 minus 4. If it's not 11 minus 31, it must be 11 plus 31. If you work it out, it's 42. Let's try some more. We're going to try 100 problems like these. 5 plus -4. 5 plus 4, no, that's not 4. It's not 5 plus 4. This is not 5 plus 4. So it must be 5 minus 4, which is 11. The problem above, it is not 11 minus 31. It's 11 plus 31. It's one or the other. Is this 8 plus 13? Yes, it is. It is 8 plus 13. Why? Because that is 13. So it's 21. 7 minus a -8. This is not 7 minus 8. That is 7. That is a minus sign. That's not 8. It's not 7 minus 8. Oh, it must be 7 plus 8 or 15. It's one or the other. minus positive 5. 7 minus positive 5. That is 5, by the way. Positive 5 is 5. Is this 7 minus 5? Yes, it is. Oh, that's 2. I know what 7 minus 5 is. Okay, now here's another rule. 8 minus 10. It's not 2. You have $8 in the bank, and you go to the bank and you take out $10, and you have $2 left. That's a pretty good deal. You took out more than you had, and you still have $2 left. Boy, I'd go to that bank all day long and take out money, because the more I take out, the more I'll have. The way to do this is to read it backwards. Whether you write down what I'm about to write down or not, you have to at least think it. You read it backwards. But in subtraction, if you read it backwards, you have to put a minus sign in front. 10 minus 8, that's 2. So the answer is negative 2. Just read it backwards. If you were asked to do 83 minus 234, you should do it backwards. You should do 234 minus 83. And whatever you get is a minus in front. So do that on the side. 234 minus 83. 4 minus 3 is 1. 23 minus 8 is, I guess, 15. So this number is 151. With a minus in front, it's negative 151. Just read the number backwards. How much is 4 minus 11? Well, read it backwards. 11 minus 4. Oh, I know 11 minus 4. It's 7. But the price you pay for making it easier is your sign's wrong. It's not 7, which is positive 7, but rather negative 7. If you do it backwards, which you're allowed to do, in subtraction, you have to put a minus in front. The number in the bracket is 7. Answer is negative 7. Let's try some more. Minus negative 11. But by the way, in the last one, in the last few, 8 minus 10. Is this 8 minus 10? The answer is yes. So then you play the backwards game. And you get negative 2. Is this 83 minus 234? Yes, it is. That's 83, that's minus, and yes, that is 234. And in this case, you play the backwards game, and you get whatever you get. I think we got 151 negative. The top one, 4 minus negative 11. 4 minus 11. No, that's not 11. That is not 11. This is not 11. So it's not 4 minus 11. Oh, it's not 4 minus 11. Oh yeah, it must be 4 plus 11. 15. 21 minus 41. That's 21. That's minus. That's always to be read correctly. The question is that 41? And yes, it is. So it's 21 minus 41. Oh, I can't take away more than I have. I only have 21. How do I take away 41? Well, just do it backwards. 41 minus 21 is 20. But if you do it backwards, you get a minus in front. Negative 20. Take away 85, I would read that backwards. 85 minus 83 is simply 2. But it's not 2, the answer. It's negative 2. When you read it backwards, whatever sign you got from reading it backwards and understood positive 2, the answer is now going to be negative 2. 11 take away 15. I would read that backwards. 15 take away 11 is 4. Positive 4. Oops. My answer is not positive 4, it's negative 4. If you read it backwards, whatever sign you get, it should really be the other one. (11 minus 7). Why? That one's fine. That's just 4. You don't have to read it backwards. 7 minus a negative 3. You know, that was 11. That's minus. Always read those two correctly. And that number is 7. This is not 7 minus 3. Why? Because that's not 3. Oh, it must be 7 plus 3 then. And that's a simple one. That's 10. Somebody asked you what's 7 minus 3? Well, that's 7, that's a minus, and that's 3. But that's one we can just do, because we're taking away less than what we have. You have $7, you go to the bank, and they'll be very happy to let you take out $3. 8 plus negative 4. That's 8, that's plus. And if it wasn't, then read it the way it does say. But this number, whatever the sign is, don't say the sign. Just say 4. Is that 8 plus 4? No, it's not. Because this number is not 4. Well, then it's 8 minus 4, which is 4. You had 8 plus, say, negative 15. Since that's not 15, it's not 8 plus 15. It's 8 minus 15. Read it backwards. 15 minus 8 is 7. So the answer is negative 7. That is, this is the same as 15 minus 8. So minus in front. There's the minus in front. And 15 minus 8 is 7. Answer is negative 7. We have 11 plus a negative 14. Well, that's not 14. So it's not 11 plus 14, so it must be 11 minus 14. But this number is bigger than 11, so we read it backwards. 14 minus 11, why, that's 3. Negative 3. If you had 14 plus negative 11, well, that's not 11. So it's not 14 plus 11, it's 14 minus 11, which is 3. Because this number is bigger than 11. This elementary school subtraction at that point. You have 8 minus a negative 4. Remember, two symbols next to one another, brackets. Since that's not 4, it's not 8 minus 4, but rather 8 plus 4, which of course is 12. If you have 8 plus negative 4, since that's not 4, it's not 8 plus 4, it's 8 minus 4, which is simply 4. You just have 8 minus 4, like I just said. It's 4. You have 8 minus a negative 7. Well, that's not 7. So it's not 8 minus 7. Oh, it's not 8 minus 7, then it's 8 plus 7. 15. 7 take away a negative 4. Since that's not 4, it's not 7 minus 4, it's 7 plus 4. Oh, that's an easy one. Once we rewrite it, it's supposed to become easy. Since the number in the bracket is not 3, this is not 7 plus 3, it's 7 minus 3, which is a basic one. It's 4. Every problem we've done so far, the first number has always been positive. In fact, the way I show it, we must have the first number being positive. And this is going to give us another rule. In addition, you can switch the two numbers. That is, in a way you can read it backwards. This is 4 plus negative 3. Two symbols next to one another, here and here, just put brackets. Now, in addition, you don't have, when you switch, in addition, you don't have to put a minus in front. In subtraction, when you switch, that is when you get 11 minus 7, you did have to put a minus in front. Negative, that number is 4, negative 4. In addition, you don't have to. And since this number is not 3, it's not 4 plus 3, so it's 4 minus 3 or 1. That is negative 3 plus 4 is 1. You have negative 8 plus 11. You can read it backwards. 11 plus negative 8. Because the first number is not positive. That's where I want to switch it. Because 11 is positive. And since that's not 8, it's not 11 plus 8, but it's 11 minus 8. You have negative 3 plus 13. The first number is not positive. But the second one is. Oh, I'll just switch the order. I'll read it backwards. I will read it backwards. And, two symbols, bracket. It's not, since that number is not 3, it's not 13 plus 3, but rather 13 minus 3. Okay, let's try some more. Negative 3 minus 11. This time it's subtraction. Since the first number is not positive, the second one is. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to read it backwards. It's 11 minus negative 3. Put the brackets. But when you read subtraction backwards, don't forget the minus in front. There's the negative sign in front. Since this number is not 3, it's not 11 minus 3. Oh, it must be 11 plus 3. But 11 plus 3 is 14. It is negative 14 the answer. You have negative 8 minus 14. Now, I just want to say one thing. This problem, the first one, it is negative 3 plus 4. The second problem is negative 3 plus 11. First, we should write it correctly. This problem is negative 3 plus 13. This problem really is negative 3 minus 11. This last problem really is negative 8 minus 14. So, since the first number is not positive, but the second one is, I'm going to read it backwards. 14 minus a negative 8. But in subtraction, minus in front. There's the minus in front. This number is not 8. That is, it's not 14 minus 8. No, it's 14 plus 8, which is 22. With a negative in front. The answer is negative 22. The first job is to always read it, have it being read correctly. 21 minus 7. That is 7. So we read it correctly. Negative 21 minus 7. If it was negative 21 minus a negative 7, the first thing I would do is say, that's negative 21 plus 7. Because that's not 7. It's not this number minus 7. So it must be that number plus 7. Then, since the first number is not positive, I'll read it backwards. 7 plus negative 21. But this is not 7 plus 21, so it must be 7 minus 21. 21 minus 7 is 14. But if I read it backwards, it's negative. Okay, top one. I'll read it backwards. 7 minus negative 21. But in subtraction, have to put the negative in front. Excuse me, I just meant to write, okay, the negative sign. Since this is not 21, it's not 7 minus 21, well then it's 7 plus 21, which is 28, with some negative sign in front. Negative 28. If you have 8 minus a negative 4, how about negative 8 minus a negative 4? Since that's not 4, we have to change. That is, it's not negative 8 minus 4. Oh, it's negative 8 plus 4. That's the first step. Get this number to be 4. Now, the first number is, the second thing is make sure the first number is positive. It isn't. It's negative 8. It's a negative number. I'll just reverse it. I'll read it backwards. And in addition, you don't have to change anything. That is no negative sign in front. No negative sign in front. And since that's not 8, it's negative 8. It's not 8. It's not 4 plus 8, but rather 4 minus 8. Read it backwards. 8 minus 4 is 4. So 4 minus 8 is not 4, but rather negative 4. And that problem is done. You have negative 3 plus 4. Well, that is correct. That is 4. But the first number is negative. So read it backwards. 4 plus negative 3. Since that's not 3, that is, when I read it, and I don't say the sign here, I'm reading it wrong. This is not 4 plus 3, because that's not 3. So since it's not 4 plus 3, it's 4 minus 3, which is 1. First, write it down so you can read it correctly. You're always going to read the second number without a sign. And if you're reading it wrong, then write it down correctly. Negative 4 plus negative 6. First, see if you're reading it correctly. Read this as 6. Negative 4 plus 6. No. That's negative 4, that's plus, but that's not 6. So it's not negative 4 plus 6, it must be negative 4 minus 6. That's step 1. Get it so you can read it correctly. You're going to read this number as 6. Whether you're looking here or here, you're going to read it as just 6. But in the first case, it's not 6. But in the second case, it is. So first, we wrote it down correctly. Correctly means we are going to read that number, whatever is the second number, as 6. In the first case, it's wrong. Second case is right. That's step 1. Step 2 is that first number has to be positive, if it is. For example, if you had 4 plus negative 6, this is 4 plus, but that's not 6. So it's not 4 plus 6, it's 4 minus 6. Now we want the first number to be positive. It is. Then we proceed. 4 minus 6, oh, that's the problem we read backwards. 6 minus 4 is 2, the answer is negative 2, because I read it backwards. In our case on top, the first number is not positive. So, I'll read it backwards. 6 minus a negative 4. But you pay a price for it for reading it backwards in subtraction. You get a negative in front. There's a negative in front. Now it's a brand new problem inside the brackets. Is this 6 minus 4? No, it's not. Oh, it must be 6 plus 4 then. 6 plus 4 is 10 with a negative sign in front. Negative 3 minus a negative 4. First, write it down so when you read it, you're reading it correctly. When I say read it, I mean that second number, don't say the sign. Is that negative 3 minus 4? No, because that's not 4. Well, then it's negative 3 plus 4. That's step 1. Step 2 is get that first number to be positive in case it isn't. And in this case, it isn't. So, let's read it backwards. This is 4 plus a negative 3. And since we're in addition, we're okay. We don't have to put a minus sign in front of this. Okay, now, read it again. Is this 4 plus 3? No, that's not 3. Well, then it's 4 minus 3. And when you go to do the calculation, it should be an elementary school subtraction. 4 minus 3 is 1. When you actually went to get the number, you did 6 minus 4, which is 2. Elementary school subtraction. When we got the number, all we did was 6 plus 4. I'm not saying that the whole process is elementary school level. Just saying, when we go to find the number, 4 minus 3. Now, we did an awful lot to get 4 minus 3. And none of it came from elementary school. But once we did go and find the number, 4 minus 3, that one's elementary school. When we went to find the number, what we did was 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4. That's a problem you would see in grammar school. How did we get to 10? We did 6 plus 4. Again, a problem you would see in grammar school. That's all I'm saying. We're converting the problem. And that's their high school or college level part. We're converting the problem. We're rewriting the problem so the calculation we have to do is elementary school addition or subtraction. Okay, I'm not saying the whole thing is elementary. But if you do it enough, it will become elementary. We were asked to do negative 8 minus 4. Since that is, let me just say positive 4. Positive 4 means 4, where the same is 4. Say yes, this is negative 8 minus 4. And there should be parentheses to isolate the negative sign, the subtraction sign, and the positive sign of the 4. So this is negative 8 minus 4, because that is 4. So we don't have to change it. We read it correctly. Negative 8 minus 4. But the first number is not positive. So I switch it. I read it backwards. Positive 4, which is just 4, minus negative 8. All I did was read it backwards. And I pay a price for it when it is a subtraction problem. Get a minus in front. There's a minus in front. That's not 8. It's negative 8. It's not 8. So it's not 4 minus 8, but it's 4 plus 8, which is 12. And the answer is negative 12. Negative 12. And for the record, I didn't comment on this till now, but the negative sign really should be in the upper left corner. If you put it in front, that's fine. A lot of times I've been doing that. the exact way of doing it. The 100% correct way is not to do it this way, but to go to the upper left-hand corner and put the sign of the number, even if it's positive. And you want to put a sign. For positive 12, you don't even have to put a sign. If you wanted to, it really should go in the upper left-hand corner, not in front. Okay. Let's try a different type of problem. Not much different. First, we'll do one that's easy first. If you were asked to do 10 plus 4 minus 2 plus 8 minus 6 plus 1. 10 plus 4 is 14. Minus 2 plus 8 minus 6 plus 1. 14 minus 2 is 12. Don't forget the rest. Plus 8 minus 6 plus 1 equals. That's 20. Don't forget the rest. Minus 6 plus 1. That's 14. Plus the 1. 20 minus 6 is 14. Plus 1 is 15. That problem is done. Okay, let's do one where it's not as easy. One that you could not have done before you learned how to add and subtract sign numbers. Suppose you were asked to do negative 2 minus 4 plus a negative 8 minus a negative 6, and for the fun of it, we'll add 2. First, you need to calculate this. What is negative 2 minus 4? Well, since that is 4, we're reading it correctly. Negative 2 minus 4. But, oh my, the first number is not positive. Well, then read it backwards. 4 minus a negative 2. Just read it backwards. But since it's subtraction, please don't forget the negative sign. And here's some grammar. 2 symbols. Just put brackets around the negative 2. Okay, there's the minus sign in front, that one. Since that is not 2, negative 2, it's not 2. It means number line. 0, 1, 2. Not negative 2 there. Negative 2 is over here. Those two numbers are not the same. I know they're not the same. They're not in the same place on the number line. This number and this number, not the same. If they were the same, this dot would be right there. Or possibly that dot would be there. But they're not the same number because they're not in the same place on a number line. I'd rather have $2 in the bank than have negative $2 in the bank. The negative 2 meaning I owe the bank $2. Okay, so since this is not 2, it's not 4 minus 2, it's 4 plus 2, which is 6. So it's negative 6. Alright. So it's negative 6, and then the rest. Plus negative 8, minus negative 6, plus 2. Now we have to compute this. What is negative 6 plus a negative 8? Well, when I read this as 8, I'm reading it wrong. It's not negative 6 plus 8. Well, then it must be negative 6 minus 8. Now, when I read this, and I just call this 8, I'm reading it correctly. Negative 6 minus 8. Next step is to make sure the first number is positive. If it isn't, then we read it backwards. 8 minus a negative 6. And in subtraction, when you read it backwards, we get that silly negative sign. And then we read it again. Since that's not 6, when I read it as 8 minus 6, I'm reading it wrong. So now we have to make it right. Have to write it down so when I read it, I'm reading it correctly. If it's not 8 minus 6, well then it must be 8 plus 6. Now when I read this as 8 plus 6, I'm reading it correctly. 8 plus 6 is 14. Do not forget the minus in front. So this is negative 14. And the rest, minus negative 6 plus 2. Maybe we'll sneak it in here. How much is negative 14 minus a negative 6? Well, since that's not 6, when I read it as negative 14 minus 6, I read it wrong. So it must be not negative 14 minus 6, but rather plus 6. Oops, that first number is not positive. So I just read it backwards. 6 plus negative 14. And since it was addition, don't have to put a minus sign in front. But that's not 14. It's not 6 plus 14. It's 6 minus 14. But that one I can do. I'll read it backwards. 14 minus 6 is 8. So when I read it backwards, it's not 8 to answer, but negative 8. Okay, so this here is negative 8 plus 2. So directly, when you're just adding a small number, you can think of the number line. Here's negative 8. Add 2. It will not be negative 10. You don't have negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11, negative 12, negative 13. I mean, how are you going to get to 0? It's negative 6. Negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. There's 0. When you go to spaces, you get to negative 6. The answer to this problem is negative 6. But we'll also do it a more formal way. To calculate negative 8 plus 2, first confirm that you read it correctly. That is, read that number as 2. Negative 8 plus 2. But it is 2, so we read it correctly. Oh my, the first number is not negative, is not positive. So we read it backwards. In fact, I shouldn't say it's not positive. If it was 0, that would be okay. 0 plus 2 is 2. The first number just can't be negative, I should be saying. So, when I read it backwards, it's 2 plus negative 8. Two symbols next to one another, the brackets. Okay, now I have the first number positive, which is good. Now I read it again. Read this is 8. Is this 2? Yeah. Is that plus? Yeah. Is that 8? No. So it's not 2 plus 8, 2 minus 8. Read it backwards. Elementary school now. Here we are going to get the number. 8 minus 2, 6. I read it backwards, it's negative 6. So there it is, negative 6. Let's try one more like this, and then we will be done. Just do 2 at a time. It's just a number of addition and subtraction problems in one. That's all it is. Because we're only doing 2 numbers at a time. We're only combining 2 numbers at a time. So it's just a number of these addition and subtraction of sign number problems all in one. Okay, we take away 11. It is the first problem is to calculate that. How much is 8 taken away negative 2? Well, since that's not 2, it's negative 2. Since it's not 2, it's not 8 minus 2. Well, then it's 8 plus 2, which is 10. That was the first problem. In fact, the problem we have to do is going to end up down here. Minus 4 plus negative 3 minus 11. How much is 10 minus 4? Why, that's just 6. That was the second problem. Here was the first problem we did, 8 minus negative 2. Here was the second problem, which we found out to be 6. Copy down the rest. And now the third problem is to figure out what 6 plus the negative 3 is. Since that's not 3, it's not 6 plus 3, but rather 6 minus 3 3 or 6. Now, if you can look at this and say, well, it's not 6 plus 3, so 6 minus 3, which is equal to, oops, I'm glad I checked it, which is equal to 3, fine. That is, you don't even have to write that down. You can do it in your head. And this is not 6 plus 3, it's 6 minus 3. Oh, I know that. That's 3 minus 11. So from boxing the third column, the fourth arithmetic column was 3 minus 11, or is 3 minus 11. Read it backwards, you get 8. Negative 8. So there's the answer. The top equation, excuse me, the top problem, an equation has an equal sign. The problem we were given does not have an equal sign, so I won't call it an equation. The top statement is equal to negative 8. That arithmetic problem is simply negative 8. Okay, that finishes the first video. Good luck with it. Do lots and lots of these problems. If you can't add and subtract, you won't succeed in algebra. It won't happen. It won't happen. You can understand everything else and even be able to do everything else. But if you mess up on each and every arithmetic or many arithmetic problems, you're going to fail the course. You must learn how to add and subtract. You must. Okay, good luck with it.